What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American, here today to react and learn about Canadian Heritage Minutes, which are these 1 minute long videos that teach you about important moments and people throughout all of Canadian history. And today, I am excited to continue my journey watching all of the 100 Heritage Minutes. I've currently seen 60 out of the 100. So I'm excited to see what stories and people and Canadian historical events we have here today, starting with Tommy Prince. Tommy Prince, cool name. Mr. Prince. Yeah. A eulogy is given for Tommy Prince, Canada's most decorated Indigenous war veteran. Oh, this sounds like a very cool story. Never heard of him. Tommy Prince. An Indigenous war veteran of Canada. I wonder what war we're talking about. Could we get a little more background info here before we look at the actual video? Thomas Prince, war hero. Wow. Indigenous advocate. Died in 1977. Tommy Prince of the Broken Head Ojibwe Nation is one of the most decorated Indigenous war veterans of Canada. That's very cool. Having been awarded a total of 11 medals for his service in World War II and the Korean War. My God, what a guy. What an amazing life he led. When he died, he was honored at his funeral by his First Nation, the province of Manitoba. Canada and the governments of France, Italy, and the United States. Wow. This sounds like a really interesting guy. Tommy Prince. Okay, that's perfect. That's the background info. Let's take a look at the Heritage Minute. I think they said this is taking place at, like his funeral, I believe.
When Tommy Prince went behind enemy lines, the enemy was in trouble.
That time at Anzio, 3 days on his own. He trained our guns for
He never
this item.
boasted about his army time. Never said nothing.
One of the few non-Americans ever awarded the Silver Star of the United States.
What? Really? Oh my God. See, that's kind of sad in a way. He was literally awarded a military Medal of Achievement from the United States. And yet, as an American, I've never heard of him, unfortunately. But I'm glad that's changing here today. I like what they've done here with this Heritage Minute. They're having a lot of people sort of talking about him in reverence, sort of celebrating his life, that sort of thing. What was the first thing they said here? If Tommy Prince was heading into battle, the enemy was in trouble. If that's how you're remembered, then you're a pretty scary dude. In the best way possible. Exactly the kind of person you want representing your country, certainly in war.
Tommy's Prince.
He was the bravest man I ever seen.
But after Italy and France, and then twice in Korea, he had to fight the battles of peacetime in a community where Canadian Indians have it hard.
Oh, wow.
Poverty.
Oh, wow. Gosh. I know this is just an actor, but, the fact that they're actually showing, or, what's supposed to be a dead person, I don't know. Wasn't expecting that. I hope he did actually have this beautiful, amazing funeral, because it sounds like he really deserved it.
Which would claim his many, many medals. He had to fight the drink, and he did. And
He had to fight the drink? He had to fight the drink. What does that mean? I am not sure what that means. They're also saying he had some struggles at home in Canada. I know there's relationships between Canada and the Indigenous population that are complicated, and he was an advocate for Indigenous Canadians, and that's wonderful.
and family troubles. And he did. And he died in dignity, one of the most decorated soldiers in Canada's history.
Sorry to harp on this, but when they said he had to fight the drink, does that mean he had like a struggle with alcoholism and family issues? Is this, maybe I'm getting out of line here, but is this really what they should be saying at his funeral? Or they're being very, very honest about it. Like, had to fight family issues. Like, anyway, that threw me for a loop a little bit. Still, a wonderful celebration of his life, talking about all his achievements and how awesome he was, and basically also how scary he was to the enemy.
Tommy, Prince of the Ojibwe Nation, the Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry are honored to say farewell to one of our own.
Present!
Wow. Wow, that's cool. I like that. I like that Heritage Minute. It was interesting because they could have like tried to show his achievements like in war, in combat, like advocating for Indigenous Canadians, but they kind of made it about his funeral and everyone talking and remembering him, and that was kind of different. I liked the direction they went there. Let's keep going. Next we have Mary Bonnie Baker. Mary Baker. This Heritage Minute celebrates Saskatchewan's Mary Bonnie Baker, an all-star catcher in the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League and a pioneer for women in sports. Again, I always get a little bit embarrassed when America is brought up in these Heritage Minutes because I always have to admit she may have been an all-star catcher in the All-American Girls Baseball League, but I've never heard of her. Kind of sad. But it's not sad that we are highlighting her life today. Pioneer for women in sports. Okay, any more detail on this? Mary, her nickname was Bonnie Baker, professional baseball player. That's interesting. You better believe I've never heard a story about a professional women's baseball player. A broadcaster. She has passed away in 2003. She was a catcher and a utility infielder. The All-American Girls Pro Baseball League for 9 seasons. In 1950, she served as the only regular female manager in the league's 12-year history. So she did a lot to pioneer sort of women, maybe in baseball, perhaps sports at large. She actually transcended just being a player, which was pretty cool. Professional baseball player, which is pretty awesome. But was also the first regular female manager in the league, kind of pioneering women in that way as well. A feisty character. Okay. I love when they throw in these random personal anecdotes. A feisty character on the diamond, and a vivacious personality off of it. Okay. One of the models for the character of Donnie Hinson in the Hollywood movie A League of Their Own. I haven't seen that. After retiring as a baseball and softball player, she was Canada's first female sports broadcaster. Cool. Very cool. This is one of the more modern Heritage Minutes, actually. One of the ones they've made most recently, so let's take a look.
We invite you to play What's My Line?
Welcome, Mrs. Baker. Those folks over there need to guess your extraordinary occupation.
Are you an entertainer, Mrs. Baker?
Yes.
Do people come to watch you perform?
Yes.
What is this? So she was a broadcaster as well as a player. But this is like a game show? Why are we on a game show? Anyway, I need to... I'll stop questioning it for now. Yeah, she's a entertainer, technically, performer, yes. Oh.
Do you travel for work?
Oh, yes.
Yes, I do.
Do you ever wear a special type of costume?
Yes.
Is your job, physical?
Yes, indeed.
Wow, this is really cool. I've said this before. The Heritage Minutes that are more modern, that they've made more recently, have a different style to them. They're more modern, for lack of a better word, more cinematic. Kind of, they're shot really well. This is good.
Is your job, physical?
Yes, indeed.
Are you a member of a team?
Oh yes.
Are you a professional baseball player?
Yes, I am.
Wait a minute. If I just realized, wouldn't they know who Mary Bonnie Baker is? Like if they're on this show and she's a famous, female Canadian baseball player, wouldn't they probably know? Anyway, I am ruining this for no reason.
Created during the Second World War, the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League included 68 Canadians. One of its brightest stars was my mother, Saskatchewan's Mary Bonnie Baker, a pioneer for women in sports.
Wow. It's you know what distracted me right there? It was such a cool ending, but also they had her daughter doing the narration, and then I heard the daughter saying her name, Bonnie. I don't know how she said it. Bonnie. I don't know how you do it, but she said the name Bonnie in the most Canadian way ever. I don't even know how she did it.
My mother, Saskatchewan's Mary Bonnie Baker, a pioneer for women in sports.
Oh yeah, that's pure Saskatchewanian Canadian baseball for you. That's cool. Very cool. I like that they go into highlighting these Canadian people throughout history that are really from all over the place. Like, all over the place. Like, that one was about baseball, and what's this one about? Let's keep going. John Nicollet? How do you say this? Explorer Jean Nicollet searches for the Pacific Ocean. He's searching for the Pacific Ocean, but instead adds Lake Michigan to European maps. 1634? This sounds like a French Canadian. A Canadian discovered Lake Michigan? How? So where was he? Lake Michigan? That's like west of Michigan. Does that touch Ontario at all? How the heck did this guy get to Lake Michigan? An American didn't discover Lake Michigan? Jean Nicollet did, apparently. Interpreter, explorer, lived among indigenous people to learn their language. That's cool. Spending 2 years on Allumette Island with the Algonquin and staying with the Nisiping. That's wow. What an interesting fellow as well. Very interesting Canadians today. Very. So much. He was the first European to explore the American Northwest on a fruitless search for the Mer de l'Ouest. What is that? Is that like the Holy Grail or something? The search took him to Green Bay, the Fox, the Illinois River. He settled in Trois-Rivières, Quebec, and worked as an interpreter. He was on a mission to save a Haudenosaunee prisoner, and his shallop overturned and he drowned. Oh my God. This guy was something else, actually. He had a big interest and love for the Canadian Indigenous people. He lived with them. He discovered rivers and Lake Michigan, and then tried to went on a crazy rescue mission, and unfortunately drowned. That's, if I can say my life was half as interesting as that, then, you've lived a pretty fantastic life. Jean Nicollet, let's check out the Heritage Minute.
Monsieur de Champlain, when I finish paddling through this wilderness and reach China, I shall greet them wearing this.
Monsieur Nicollet, you're...
Yeah, he was definitely an interesting fellow, for sure. His plan was to paddle to China? Paddle to China and wear this garment.
Our mission shall be for the honor of the king and the holy faith.
There he goes.
In the summer of 1634, Jean Nicollet set off from Quebec to find a trade route that would link Europe and North America with China.
Huh.
Where is it? Further,
You know, history really needs people like Jean Nicollet. And I say this with all love and admiration. He's a little crazy. And you gotta have people who are a little bit crazy, who are willing to just, like, sail down rivers that are uncharted to try to discover new trade pathways to China. You need people like him. So I really admire him.
I know the place you are seeking.
For months, Nicollet pushed through the wilderness, searching for the Western Sea.
Goja, Mississippi!
What did he say?
He says, Mississippi, great water.
Mississippi? He got to Mississippi? Trying to get to China? Or am I misunderstanding?
China.
Jean Nicollet was wrong. It was Lake Michigan, not the Pacific. But others would follow his dream. Joliet, La Salle, the La Vérendrys, and they would map most of North America from the Rockies to the Gulf of Mexico.
I see. He was a very well-intentioned man, if not a little confused about where he was. He thought he was seeing the Pacific Ocean and the path to China. He was looking across the Lake Michigan. Got it. Still, like, all joking aside, super cool. Super cool. All these Canadians today had really fascinating lives, really amazing stories. That's one of the reasons I really do enjoy checking out these Heritage Minutes. A really great way to learn about random people, random Canadians. It's actually a lot of fun. So anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on any of these Canadian Heritage Minutes here today. Any of these Canadians, that'd be cool to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada and Canadian culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.